Hello and welcome to the first ever cartoon catch-up. As human beings, as Australians, we just love to catch up with one another. But it's a bit tough with COVID. We can't go out and do the kind of things that we used to. We can't go out for barbecues. We can't catch up for a beer. We can't catch up for a coffee. But what we can do is come together through the awesomeness of technology. And today we are going to cartoon a local legend. But for me, like I was saying, people and catching up with people is so important. It's part of our DNA to catch up. You know, as humans, we just need human interaction. We're shaped by people. I know for me that I was shaped by my parents. They gave me the notion of community. They were the type of people to work by example and to show me what community meant. That community is not something you can just take like off the shelf at the supermarket. To have a vibrant and healthy community, you need to put your 2 cents in. You need to have a crack. You need to love your community. You need to support your community. And above all, you need to work in your community. And my parents taught me that, and they gave me that philosophy that if you want to be a part of something great and have a great community, you need to work on it. And that's what I'm trying to do with the cartooning and stuff, and try to bring salt to what other people are doing. But one person that we're catching up with this week, I've seen this man tirelessly work in meetings and different things to bring about the greater good of our community. So we please welcome the first ever cartoon catch-up participant, Jim Childs. I'll click the button. Technology is not my strong suit. Oh, there we go. Happy days. How you going, Jim?
Oh, hello, Nick. Look, it's great to catch up with you, and what a great day to do it. It's so wet outside, and like you said, it's the technology we've got allows you to do this, and I think everyone should be having a crack at it.
It's funny, isn't it, that I'm probably catching up more with people over the internet that I maybe used to, because once something's taken away, necessity is the mother of invention, and you end up reaching out to people and saying, "Oh, how are you doing?" or just communicating like that. Before we start, I'll pick up the Sharpie once I find it. How are you going in lockdown? You know, is it treating you fine? You know, what does lockdown look for you?
Look, it's pretty good here on the property that we've got. We've got 30 acres here. We butt up against the Yarra State Forest. Teresa rides the horses. So, you know, there's plenty to do on the property. So we can isolate pretty well. I'm sorry, Nick. Sorry, I'm just getting...
Is that race 5 from Randwick?
Yeah. Yeah, look, so we've got plenty to do here, but I just look at how we operate council now. It's just totally different. Where we'd be meeting it down in the council chamber at Lilydale. We Zoom that now, so probably that's something we're going to do going into the future, and that's where all of a sudden now we've been woken up to the technology that you can use the technology, save those trips, save that traveling, and yeah, and it's so good to use it.
All right, first things first, this is called Cartoon Catch-Up for a reason. It's not just a standard catch-up. I'm going to be drawing you live. I tell everyone that I draw, you need to pretend that I've got a unicorn horn coming out of my brain, and you got to keep staring at my unicorn horn. It's very important that you stare at my unicorn horn, otherwise I won't know what you look like.
Right.
I've actually got a screen over here, so if you see me looking over there, I'm not ignoring you. It's just your face is a lot bigger than it is down there. So obviously, Jim, we're talking a bit about community, and I would like to think that you know a bit about community.
Yep.
What makes our community so much better than far north Queensland?
Yeah, well, you look at far off Queensland, and they've got so many remote areas as well. But I actually look at the Upper Yarra, and we have so many townships and a population which has achieved so much, but they do that by connecting together as community groups and as individuals, and really they do so much good on the ground. And if you look at probably the vastness of the Upper Yarra, and I go down to Rurallic, where we've got the township group down there, or they're not functioning now as they did in the past, the Rurallic Township Action Group. They built the town square there. We've got the Wirialek neighbourhood house down there, the community house, and they do some wonderful things as well. Going out to Hoddles Creek, we've got a committee out there that's really strong in the community space as well. Ted Gramlich, who was an absolute stalwart for out there at Hoddles Creek, the community's endeavouring to remember him with a memorial out there. So they're working hard in that space as well, which will, as council, help them with as well. So going further up to Yarra Junction, we've got the sporting groups, out to Powelltown, the Water Association, their emergency planning group. All these activities bring communities together. Millgrove's another great...
I was about to mention Millgrove. You know, you've mentioned all these towns like Wirialek and Junction and all them, but clearly, I know council doesn't have it on their flyer, but clearly Millgrove is the greatest town in the Shire.
Yeah, well, I knew you'd be biased in that space because you were born and bred and brought up in Millgrove, and really Millgrove's a classic how a community comes together. And the Millgrove Resident Action Group there with President Maureen Hallett, they do such a magnificent job, and I sit on that committee with them. And you've just got to look at their achievements over the last number of years with that beautiful town setting that Millgrove has now, with the gardens there, which Mick put so much work into. We've got
I keep calling the walrus.
Yeah, well, I admire that facial hair of Mick's. I reckon that's a damn good job, and you can always recognise him driving the Martyrs bus. You can see him coming a mile away.
100%.
So, and the other achievements there, and of recent times, is their community plan. And if you look around Millgrove, there's not too many places where mum and a pusher can't connect back to the primary school or the town centre. So that's a great achievement that actually came out of their community plan. And now, with that great grant that they got from the state government to actually construct the river trail on River Road, that's going to be a tremendous access to the community as well. And not only that, with the community roads initiative, and we can see what's happening out the front of the Millgrove Primary School at the moment, with finally the sealing of the road there and the drainage works being done. I know it's a terrible mess at the moment, but that's going to be wonderful once it's completed. And moving up to Warburton, well, the Warburton Advancement League out to Roofton, you've got a township group out there. They're very active at the moment because they want their pedestrian bridge returned, which was removed by Vic Roads, and we're fighting vigorously for that at the moment. So really, Nick, what we want to be able to see is communities coming together and the residents becoming members of these particular community groups, because it's not just about one person. It's just not about a councillor getting in there and trying his or her hardest to get something done. But when you're backed solidly by the community and the community has a plan on what they want to achieve, nothing can get in the way of that. And you've got a real strong case for achieving things.
Yeah, with community, obviously you need infrastructure and you need buildings and stuff like that, but it's really driven by the people. You know, I was talking as I was doing the opener about human interaction and the people and whatever. You know, what are some of the names in the community that you think that if you were to single out a couple of people in the community that that you would like give kudos to, say, if I was to give it a community award tomorrow, who would they be?
Yeah, look, I can mention a few people, but I think that what it comes down is that we've got a number of individuals in our communities that work behind the scenes, and we hardly hear much about them, but we see a lot that happens with that amount of work that they put in. And a couple of names that come come to my mind straight away is probably our past postmaster up at Warburton, Norm Moore. Norm was the chair of the Chamber of Commerce up there. He was involved in everything. Like him and Jeff Gill would be the catalyst of anything that happened in the town. And I think you probably know of recent times we have the Eastern 80 cycling event down to Lilydale and back, and all the money raised goes to the Royal Children's Hospital. And that was an initiative of Norm's. Norm said, well, you know, I watch that Good Friday appeal every year and the Upper Yarra never gets any mention. So yeah. Norm said, I want to get Warburton on that board of announcements. And I want it to be $10,000. Well, gee, that's a big ask. Well, every year now it's been in excess of $10,000. He has an army of volunteers working behind him and people that contribute, and we get a great result. Another great person, which you'd obviously know, Nick, is Andy Bennett. I sit back and I just admire Andy. Andy's a pastor at the Milwara campus primary school at the moment. But Andy pops up all over the place. The CFA, Anzac Day ceremonies, Andy's there. He's a magnificent inspiration, a wonderful speaker, and a mentor to so many young people. And I just admire him.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like you look at Milwara Primary right now with Rod Barnard as the principal. You got Andy Bennett there as the kids' welfare person. You know, people like Jeff Symes, who's another great community person that does outreach and gets food parcels to families and different things. There's an abundance of superstars, and a lot of the teachers there are amazing. Milwara Primary, I'm biased because I went there, but if you want to do a fact check, the amount of skilled people that are at Milwara Primary School is just amazing.
Yeah, and I never like to get in this space. Like, there's a lot of families that have got challenges at the moment, but if you've got confidence in the school structure, and I think that what's coming out of COVID at the moment, Nick, is showing us what great assets that we have in the education space. These teachers that we've got have been able to step up to the plate and deliver their curriculums in a totally different way. They've never been able to do this before. Scott Tully at the secondary college doing the same thing there as well. And we've got a class of year 12 students there. It's the biggest time of this schooling, and Scott and the team are leading them through that. And we've got some great students there.
I'll second that notion. Both myself and my wife went to Upper Yarra Secondary, and we said our kids are never going Upper Yarra ever, right? Yeah. And then Tali has been going there, and it's like a breath of it's like someone flicked a switch in her brain or something, because she loves the joint, right? She has never learnt so much being at school since going to Upper Yarra, and Upper Yarra, for her, it's just been a godsend. So a fantastic school, and I think, especially for people that have been in the valley for quite a long time, you can build up these stigmas about places in your own hometown that you forget to look. So I just encourage anyone out there, I talked about Milwara Primary, but I know for a fact that Yarra Junction's doing great work. Anne Stenhouse at Wesburn, she's amazing. We are in, and that's what makes such a beautiful community, that we've got so many different towns that are just adding salt to what we call the Upper Yarra Valley.
Yeah, that's right, and we're absolutely blessed, and our kids are going to actually reflect back on this over the years. They'll have something to say to their children, how they'll be able to use this example that we have to go through a very tough space in our learning process, and probably the space that they'll be going through in the future will be nothing like what they had to go through in this period of time now. And I look back at how we're doing things differently, and go back to Milwara again, Mr. Barnard and Ernie on the couch with the weekly assembly and things like that, doing it so differently. And we've got a crew of older people actually tune into that assembly now, just to hear how Mr. Barnard and Ernie are going to cope with things. But and some of the things get pretty close with the discussions they have, but it's just a great way of communicating back. And there's an assembly. If we can do that in the future, well, parents that can't get along to the assemblies in the future will now be able to join in, and that's fantastic. I
mean, you'd be used to puppets on council, though, wouldn't you? Like puppets.
Well, I tell you what, that's often spoken about, and I tell you what, I never feel anything going up my back, because every now and again you've got to keep your eye on your back as well. But and that's where I enjoy council too, Nick, is that you're in there as one person out of 9. So there's a degree of persuasion you have to go through with your fellow councillors. But the team that we've got at the moment, and the team that we've got at the senior executive level, are a great team to work with. So apart from that politics part in when you're trying to get in there and bat for your piece of the pie, which I thoroughly enjoy doing, because it's not only getting that connection back into the budget and getting what we need out of the budget, but it's to get that low-hanging fruit as far as budget is concerned when there's a state and federal election, and that'll never change. We've got this pork barreling going on all the time, and we can't step away from that. It's something that I don't like us in the political space, but my goodness, we'll take advantage of it.
So I know we've checked off Millgrove, Yarra Junction, Wesburn. I just look across at my son. He actually goes to Launching Place Primary. So
you've got to look at Launching Place and Wirialek. They're probably our biggest campuses we've got at the moment at the primary school level. We hear a lot about this it's so great in the small schools, the small classes. Well, we get the same thing really in those bigger schools, and I know both Wirialek and Launching Place, they are so conscious of that good relationship and that 100%. Contact between teacher. It's amazing.
I know I've gotten phone calls from Link's teacher. Link's doing grade 6, and she's just doing a tremendous job at remote learning and trying to inspire the kids and stuff like that. I know that Link's actually, I think, excelling in this period of time because of the COVID situation. Like some kids flourish, some kids are struggling, but the way she goes about her job and inspires the kids is just fantastic. So yeah, you don't have to go far to see a school that just is doing massive things for kids, which is really good.
Yeah.
All right. I've come to the end of my the picture. So what I've done, Jim, I've drawn you here with a horse. Right, we've got the Shire of Yarra Rangers. I've got to go the opposite way. It's like backing up a trailer. There's your Yarra Rangers cancel, and I noticed on your Facebook page you've got a picture that says delivering since 2012. Does that mean you've been delivering Uber Eats? What have you been delivering? Pizzas? What are your chickens?
I didn't want to use this space as because we realise we've got a council election coming up in October, but I think that what we've delivered over the last 2 councillor terms, and I was mayor back in 2012 when I was first elected, is that there's probably in excess of $35 million that have been invested back into the Upper Yarra, the Warburton mountain bike destination, the new water play facility, gas into Warburton. All those great projects cost a lot of money, and we've been able to leverage that money from the state and federal government. All those new footpaths and school car parks that have been delivered in that time as well. So there's been a lot delivered. But
I'll tell you what you haven't delivered, Jim. I'll tell you one thing you haven't delivered.
Yeah, right.
You'll get my vote if you can deliver this.
Yeah.
we don't have a cartoon mini golf joint in the Yarra, up this end of the like Warburton or Millgrove is crying out for a mini golf complex that's cartoon.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's an opportunity there for some enterprising person to engage with council to achieve something like that.
You can have it in Millgrove and call it Fun Grove.
Sorry? You
could have it in Millgrove and call it Fun Grove Mini Golf.
Of course you can. Well, look, was it at Millgrove years ago when we had that bike skate frame we had there where the market's held there. That was years ago. And really, when you think of that, that was such a simple structure, but look at the amount of use it got.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
All right, Jim. Thanks for catching up with me, mate. I really appreciate it. I'll get this delivered to you.
Yeah. I'd love a PDF of it if you can get it.
I'll just give you the real thing.
Oh yeah, that'll do. Hey, listen, if you want nominations for your next two candidates, go for Norm or Andy Bennett.
Andy Bennett, I've already thought about Andy Bennett, but the Norm guy, he sounds like a real legend as well.
And I tell you what, you'll never shut him up.
Well, the next one I've got Ben Price. If he's he's an impersonator, and so he's next week's candidate. But well,
he might run rings around you.
Wouldn't be hard. All right, Jim. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Nick, it's been lovely talking to you.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
See you, mate.
All right, guys, there was our cartoon catch-up with Jim Childs. Make sure you look out for the next cartoon catch-up because I'm trying to unearth some legendary people to catch up with. So until next time, keep drawing. And let's all draw together.